Leave it open?
Yeah, leave it open as long as if they're not making too much noise out there, leave it open so people can hear what we're doing.
They're doing it on the phone too.
Oh, okay.
Their phone's out.
Okay, all right.
Judge, the only problem, and I want to leave the door open, but there have been complaints that people say that they can't hear online.
We have had that problem because one of
Well,
our
I'm gonna-
budget
I'm
hearings,
gonna
we
get
didn't have the thing turned, we didn't have a mic turned.
I'm gonna get my microphone a little closer, so
Okay.
if I can speak a little louder, clearer,
Yeah.
they can hear me, but
All right,
Let's
if you
roll.
would, please rise. We will call this meeting to order and ask everybody out there to kind of keep the noise down. Okay, this is the notice of the regular session of the Angelina County Commissioners Court. It is 10 a.m., Tuesday, July the 28th. Let the record reflect that all the members of the court are present with the exception of Commissioner Kennedy, who is still on convalescent leave. And we're honored this morning to have the opening prayer read by Reverend Brian Liscombe, Providence Baptist Church here in Lufkin. Brian?
Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning, Father, realizing today that you are the Lord God. And God, we come to you this morning just seeking your wisdom. God, as this court conducts business today, Lord, with every matter that comes before them, Lord, may each matter be looked at. God, may the proper conclusions be drawn and the proper resolutions made. And God, I just pray that above all, Lord, that through your wisdom, Lord, that this court will make the right decisions. And God, that your will be done. And God, that you'll be glorified above all things. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes, sir.
And if you would, please follow Commissioner Cheshire as we honor the U.S. flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And remain standing while we follow Commissioner Harrison in honoring the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right. Now we're going to move on to the public forum. And for those that are listening, items listed on the agenda are now open for public comment. If you would like to comment on a specific agenda item or items, please come to the microphone and state your name and specific agenda item or items you wish to address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes total. Members of the court will not respond during the public comments, but will take your comments into consideration during their deliberations. And it looks like Sheriff Greg Sanchez is the first participant. That's why I wanted one of the guys standing at the door.
Yeah, we really need one there.
Yeah. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I want to address the court. I thank y'all for letting me speak. For the record, my name is Greg Sanchez, Angelina County Sheriff. Today I'm here to address the citizens of Angelina County concerning the Angelina County Sheriff's Office policies and procedures. When I took office in 2013, the Angelina County Sheriff's Office did not have policies, nor did they have professional standards investigator. The professional standards investigator handles policies, backgrounds, investigations of applicants, and investigation of policy violations. To be transparent and maintain professionalism, this has been enacted by the Sheriff's Office and the jail. All professional law enforcement agencies have a complaint process that can be utilized by citizens and investigated by a professional standards investigator. The Sheriff's Office and jail have this process to maintain fairness and professionalism. The Angelina County deputies and correctional officers deal with felonies and misdemeanor cases on a regular basis. If the deputies or correctional officers engage in misconduct, then those cases are sent to the outside agencies, county attorney, District Attorney, and Texas Rangers. The cases would also be sent to the professional standards investigator to determine if any policies has been violated. This has been the process of the Angelina County Sheriff's Office. This is just one of many checks and balances in place in the Angelina County Sheriff's Office to ensure that a law has not been broken. In conclusion, I want to assure the citizens of Angelina County that the Angelina County Sheriff's Office has and will always continue to enforce the law fairly and professionally. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. The criminal justice system is not always perfect, but it is the best in the world. I will not try cases via social media or any forms of media. Cases should be tried in the courts to maintain civility and see that justice prevails. Angelina County Sheriff Greg Sanchez. I want to also note that today I'm very proud of our citizens that have showed up out here. We have great support out here in the parking lot, in the hallways. I'm still your sheriff, and I will be your sheriff for another 4 years, and I'm proud to serve the citizens of Angelina County. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. All right. Melvin Litton. Melvin Litton.
Melvin Litton.
Morning.
How are you gentlemen doing?
Good. Fine.
Thank y'all for letting me have a couple of minutes here.
Please state your name.
My name is Melvin Linton Jr. And I want to thank y'all for letting me come speak to y'all on behalf of the Sheriff's Department and all that's going on with our county, our country, and our world right now. I want to say I'm 100% in support of our Sheriff's Department. It's real easy to stand back on social media and tell everybody about what's going on in the world. If you know so much and people know so much, let's get up and show them, you know, lead by example. Come, I'm happy to be a liaison and help anybody I can as far as I would like to see our county pull back together with all of the county commissioners, the Sheriff's Department, along with the county judge. It seems like we've kind of gotten distant a little bit, but with all that's going on and all that's going to be on the agenda here later, I'm 100% for it. As far as with stuff that happened about the dog shooting, the Sheriff's Department was in the right. They was at the right address. There was multiple houses at that particular address. So I'm 100% in support of that. I'm 53 years old. I've lived in Angelina County my whole entire life. I have yet to be harassed by Angelina County Sheriff's Department, Lufkin PD, Diboll PD, Huntington PD, Zavala PD, or even the Highway Patrol. If you obey the law, you get in no trouble. It is amazing when you obey the law that nobody misses with you. I think everybody here will agree with me on that. And knowing Don a number of years and all of that, I think he's doing a good job. I think all of y'all are doing a good job. But if there's any way, it may be in a businessman, that I can help and improve anything with the relationships between the Sheriff's Department, the Commissioner's Court, and all, I'm happy to do it. And I'm happy to say that I'm 100% in charge. It's real easy when you stand outside of a glass house to look at that glass house and tell everything that's the matter with that glass house. But when you're in that glass house, it's awful hard not to break the glass, you know. And I say that to say this: they're not perfect, I'm not perfect, y'all are not perfect. Every one of us makes a mistake in our everyday lives. It's how you take care of it. And I think Greg has stood up with his guys, and that's what I think a leader should do. You should stand up with your guys, right or wrong. You stand up with them and you back them. If you've got something to disagree with them about, you call them aside, and you don't do it in the public, you know. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mel. Mark Dunn.
Mark Dunn.
Mark Dunn.
Good morning.
Mark, good morning. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Mark Dunn. Y'all know that because y'all have seen me up here before. You know, I'm going to start off with a line by a guy that was in Cool Hand Luke. Surely y'all have all seen that movie. And one of the comic lines in that is, what we've had is a failure to communicate. I'm here to talk about the budget. There's a lot of information floating around. I hope y'all have seen everybody standing outside. I hope you get on Facebook and see what's said. You can't believe everything on the internet, but you can believe people's sentiments. Guys, I've stood up here now 4 times and talked about the budget. We had a budget passed that was going to help everybody out. And here we've come back from what I'm reading in the press, $1.2 million that was not accounted for. Now we've had to go back in and cut the budget that was approved. We're still $147,000 short. We're having to find line items and now talking about raising taxes for the 3rd time. If you saw the public outcry, people don't want their taxes raised. There's another line out of a movie. I'm sick as hell of it and I'm not going to take any more. That's how I feel. I pay taxes through the nose on everything that I have. I'm fair about it. I would ask you gentlemen to consider what everybody else was against in your constituency of taking out $6.2 million worth of road material that's not going to be in your budget. My question is, where in the world's that money going to? And now by the proposed tax increase that you're going to talk about this afternoon, your budgets are going to go up even more from what I understood from yesterday's meeting. Boys, these are tough times. Proposing a tax increase, but because of a supposed emergency, the only emergency we have is people are out of work. People are falling short on their paychecks. They don't have more money to pay the taxes. So account for what you've got in your budget, considering not taking out the loan. Fall back on your materials. Pull back on what you're doing. Make the best you can with what you've got. That's what I do in my business. I'm here to encourage you, not throw rocks at you. Gentlemen, y'all have a tough job at hand, and you need to consider these things just like it was your own money. If I had 1/20th of my money go missing, I'd be upset. I'd be looking everywhere under every rock for every penny. So, come talk to me if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Cindy Dew.
Cindy Dew.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for your time.
You bet. State your name for the record, please.
My name is Cindy Dew. I don't know how savvy you are with social media, but if any of you are on social media, you've no doubt seen what's been going on. My son, Tyler Dew, was one of the deputies involved in the Mark Smith arrest. He has been contacted personally by the group that you're giving the floor to today. I've been contacted personally. Our family members have. We have been harassed. If you've seen the posters that Hallie Hathorne spends all day creating, then you know my favorite is the butt. It's worse than high school. And I'm going to tell you that if this is the direction that our world is going, we're headed for some sad times. Sad times. I have talked to DPS Criminal Investigations to try to get assistance. They've agreed to take up the matter so that it comes out of the Sheriff's Department's hands so it doesn't look like retaliation. But in order to do that, I have to have the county attorney send them a letter. I can't get the county attorney to even give me an appointment because I promise you, just like I've heard from Lufkin PD and everyone else, they will be the next target. Now, y'all are elected to have a spine and to represent us. Now, these officers are not afforded protection like they should be from being slaughtered publicly. You can criticize elected officials. I don't agree when you lie, and I don't agree when you're malicious. But if you're stating your opinion, that is your God-given right in this country. But when you have all of these people in the positions that they're in, and they will not help their citizens because they don't want to be involved in the Facebook slaughter, there's a problem. You're grown men, you're grown women in the DA's office. They have released, open records request released information on these deputies. Now, I believe, I assume, I don't know, is their personnel files, whatever they're entitled to by law, okay. I've heard information wasn't redacted. which scares me for any references that might be listed in their employment file, because this group is relentless and ruthless and heartless. And they will go after anyone with anything positive to say about our law enforcement, and that is shameful. It is the embodiment of evil, what you have seen on Facebook, what you've seen come out of them. I'm sorry, but our district attorney, our firm, represented Mark Smith in prior incidents. I'm afraid it's a conflict. If she is telling them there's criminal charges pending on these deputies, then by God, get after it.
Okay.
Get after it. But don't let them keep spreading the lies. Do your job, finish your investigation, do what you have to do, and then let's get after it.
Okay, thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Ms. Doody, may I meet with you after court or
Please.
at your convenience?
I will be here. I appreciate it.
All right, now we have no more for the public forum. At this time, we'll move on to item number 5, discussion action on minutes for the June 14th, 2020 Commissioners Court.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item number 6, discussion action regarding an order directing the voter-approved tax rate be calculated at 8% in the manner provided for a special taxing unit. Gentlemen, you will see that you've got the order from the county attorney that was put in with your packet. And might be appropriate to go ahead and read the order at this time with y'all's approval.
Please.
Please do.
Okay. Order of the Commissioners Court of Angelina County, Texas, directing calculation of the voter approval tax rate in the manner provided for a special taxing unit. Whereas Governor Abbott has declared a disaster in the entire state of Texas, including Angelina County, and whereas Section 26.04 C-1 of the tax code provides that a taxing entity located in an area declared a disaster area by the governor may direct that the voter approval tax rate be calculated in the manner provided for a special taxing unit. Now, therefore, it is ordered and decreed that the voter approval tax rate shall be calculated in the manner provided for a special taxing unit at 8% as provided by Section 2604C2A of the tax code, passed and approved and adopted on this 28th day of July 2020 at the regular meeting of the Commissioners Court by a vote of how many ayes and how many nays. This is what we have before us right now. We probably need to discuss this at this point so there will be clear understanding that the chance to go to 8% does not mean that we're going to 8%. All that means is that we're going to the point that we have to go to take care of county business this year because of what's going on, you know, in our area.
But just
this just allows us to go to 8% because that's the way the order is written.
without the having a vote.
Without having to go, yes. And this is basically just like it's always been in the past. The 8% has always been there until the legislature
Yeah, I went 3.5.
passed it last year. Correct.
My deal is for the last couple, 3 years, we've been backstabbing and conniving and sneaking and, I mean, that's what you hear. You know what I'm saying. And I just feel like with all the things going on now that, well, anyhow, you can go ahead and take a vote on it if you want to.
Well, let me say this. Right now, at this point in time, at the 3.5%, we cannot balance our budget. The minimum amount to balance a budget is just a hair past what we're allowed to do by the legislature this year.
Yes, sir.
Half cent,
Sir?
a half cent.
Yeah,
But I'm
half
saying,
cent.
my point being though, is have we set the budget? I mean,
Have not.
because we still got some things, if we need to, we can cut.
We're still doing,
You know,
we're
to
still
get
doing.
our budget to where it even like last year in roll. And, so, I'm just telling you guys, I see some windfall from this kind of stuff, so I'm gonna be, anyhow, like I say, you can go ahead and take your vote if you want to, and I'll tell you how I feel about it, so.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments?
This
about
does not mean that we are raising taxes.
I totally agree with you on that.
8%.
Yes, I totally agree.
This
But it
just-
does give you a window.
And the ability.
If you have to do it, you can,
You're right.
without asking the folks what they think.
Well, that's not entirely true. Once we raise taxes in any way, shape, or form, we still have to have 2 public hearings. We can set the judge's proposed budget, which I have to set by this coming Friday. But any increase, we still have to have 2 public hearings. Correct, Carrie?
It is, Judge, it is correct that you have to have a public hearing for the tax increase. It did appear, I was looking at the statutes last night, that that's been changed to a single public hearing. That's something I have to follow up on, but you are
Okay.
required to have at least one.
Okay,
public hearing.
so we do, in direct answer to your question, Greg, we still have to have, even if we have the half cent
Yeah.
increase, just to meet our county's obligation to pay our bills, okay? Even if we have that half cent, we still have to have at least one public hearing.
I understand that, but here's the problem. If we pass our budget, like you just said, we still have to have a hearing. Can it change after that hearing?
We will have other, once I
mean-
do the judge's proposed budget, that's gonna be everything that we put together. All of us scratching our heads and trying to come up with the best solution at that time. That budget will be posted Friday,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
But after that, we will have the public hearing that's required, depending on exactly what we do. And just so everybody will know, we are meeting again this evening at 4:30, so be sure to listen to us live stream at 4:30 this afternoon, because we are working on the budget again. And we have to do this order right now just to be able to balance our budget for this year
With what we have now.
with what we have now,
Yeah.
correct?
But we can still come back this evening and cut.
Oh, yeah, sure, and
Yeah,
I
this
fully
is-
intend that will happen.
This is basically just an insurance.
Yeah,
in case-
exactly,
in case.
exactly. Okay?
Go for it.
All right, guys, we have discussion action right now on this order in front of us. I'd entertain a motion at this point.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I second.
All right, we do have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the order as being presented. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay. Let the record reflect with the judge that we have 3 ayes and 1 nay.
And to be clear, this is not a tax increase vote.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
All right, we do have that out of the way, and it is signed. All right, let's move on to item number 7, discussion action on the approval and renewal of the general liability insurance for Angelina County Airport dwellings and to select or reject terrorism coverage. Janice, if you would address this, from what I understand, this general liability is over the rental
That's correct. This
buildings.
is for the general liability on our dwellings at the airport.
Right.
And the premium has definitely changed. And we have to reject or accept the terrorism, addition. And last year the court rejected it because it's the dwellings. I mean, so anyway, the
Right.
additional premium for that would be $31.50 if you wanted to go add the terrorism to it, so.
Yeah, we've rejected it in the past.
The
Yeah.
judge would need to sign, the back page.
Okay. And I agree, we need to reject, I don't think that
I'm
the
gonna make a
terrorism.
motion that we reject it and authorize the judge to sign.
Okay,
And this is a one-year extension, is that what it is?
It's just an annual renewal.
all right, we have a motion on the floor to approve this and
Motion,
reject the
yes.
terrorism coverage. Do
Yes.
we have a second?
And I think your signature.
Authorize the judge to sign.
Yeah.
And
Got a
with the judge's signature.
Got a second? Second.
A second?
2 seconds.
2 seconds now, all right. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion does pass unanimously. All right, let's see, item number 8, appearance of Mr. Eric Carver of Actually Roadie LLP to give presentation of the FYE 12/31/19 audit report. Mr. Carver. And gentlemen, that is this report that y'all have in front of you. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, if I take this down, I guess.
You bet.
Please do, I can't read your lips with it.
Well, I'm gonna give you all this letter, that, you know, it's the normal letter, if you just take one, pass it around.
All right.
Let me tell you, the audit this year was a challenge, not because of anything internally, but, you know, we shut down right in the middle of things, and I know y'all rotated out, and I really want to commend all of the county staff. We tried to do things remotely as much as we could. Janice and her people, Lord bless them, they had to work through some interesting questions and stuff that we'd normally like to sit down and handle face to face, but the audit went as best that can be expected. And, you know, we're about a month behind where I would like to have got this to y'all, but again, I think we're doing good under the circumstances. So, very much appreciate y'all. You know, we're here to help you out anytime. I'm gonna go through the audit report, and if there's any questions, stop me. Really, with the change in circumstances, I'm gonna talk some about where y'all were in December, and that's what's in the report. But I also want to discuss sort of what you have coming the next year and even 2, so you're familiar with some of the things that I expect will change. I know, quite honestly, 6 months ago, I wouldn't have thought things would have changed as much as they have, but I'll give you my best guess at what the future brings and what y'all may need to do that. I think it's very relevant as y'all are discussing budgets and those things going forward. So, to begin with, our audit report, as usual, and with the county, we're issuing an unqualified opinion. That's the highest level of assurance we can give you, that the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund and the aggregated fund information is all correct. We didn't do a single audit this year because you didn't have over $750,000 in federal funds, but we did do a compliance audit related to the state, the Texas Governmental Code, and we have an unqualified opinion on that also. Again, everything went good with that. Y'all are in good shape there. When we look at the financials starting on page 14, it was a pretty interesting year all the way around for the county in that you saw a small decrease in revenue and your expenditures were up somewhat, But when we look at the governmental activities, and that's throwing all your funds together, it's throwing the capital assets, the pension, the debt, and then you have your business type activities, which are pretty much how they normally reflect as the funds. You got hit with a couple of big items this year. Pension really had a big change. The liability went from about 1.5 million to 6.5 million. Now, if you look over at page 49, I'll show you what happened to the pension. And remember, your pension always lags a year behind because the actuaries have to determine everything. But if you look middle way of that page, the investment income net of investment expenses. In 2017, the pension plan earned $8.4 million, and it had earned $3.9 million the year before, and $3.5 million 2 years before that. Last year, it lost
Eric,
one. Yes.
What line are you on?
It's about midway, that investment income net of expenses under the fiduciary net position.
Right.
Okay? That's the volatility of the pension plan. And what occurred is you went from earning 8.4 million to losing 1.2 million. It's really all a marketing timing adjustment. But what that did is, if you look at the bottom line, you went from $1,155,000 in liability to $6,600,000 in liability, all due to that investment earnings. The thing is, when the actuaries determine your contributions, which is the important thing, they look at a 30-year window. So this liability swung way up, and we have to report it that way, but it's probably going to swing down in the future, so you're not really... That's what if you paid it off today, but you're not going to pay it off today. You're not even going to increase your contributions, except maybe slightly over the next few years. So I want y'all to understand that is a big number that went up a lot, but it's not a number that really you have to worry about today and say we got to figure out how to deal with this, okay? Because if you look...
But we do need to be looking at increasing our contributions probably in the very near future.
Possibly. The actuary every year will look at a 30-year average of that and come back with recommendations. If you look at page 50, which is your contributions, you know, they come in every year and they say, we want you to, that first column there is we want you to fund, in 18 it was the 1,482,000. You actually funded a little bit over that, and so you're fine doing that.
Okay.
But they'll come in and evaluate that every year, and y'all continue to do exactly what you need to do. But I want you to understand that there's a volatility in the market, and so that liability is going to swing all over the place. It'll settle down. This next year, probably going to be another wild year, but at some point we'll get back to normal, I guess is the word. And so it's a big number, but not one to worry about as you go into budgets. You're going to budget based on your contribution levels, which are right there at that 10%. So anyway, I wanted to point that out first of all, because that is...
While you're on that
Sure.
page, why is the contribution deficiency or excess shown in a negative form?
Because it's based on, if you over-contribute, you're basically, it's comparing it to the actuarial number, not to what you actually contributed. So
Really?
you could, yeah, so that's just reporting standards have it that way.
Wow.
Yeah. I understand it looks sort of backwards there.
It
to me
does,
too,
it really does.
But yes, y'all have consistently over-contributed slightly there.
Okay.
And, you know, but the big thing to look at is if you look at the contribution rate, you know, it was 8.5 10 years ago, and it's 10.1 now, but it just inches up slowly over time. So even though that $6 million, you had that about $5.5 million swing in liability, you're probably looking at a fraction of a percent going up there. And so it'll clear itself out over time. So that's one big thing I wanted to point out to you, because it's not really, it's part of the operations of the county, but it's not directly something you budget for or anything other than those contributions. So I wanted to start out pointing that out. You still, in all the governmental funds and the landfill and airports, you're in good shape. You've got a healthy fund balance, but you are trending in some sort of bad directions. And this
Page number.
Looking at 15 and 16, the income statement of those.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. Your governmental funds, the revenues were up about $150,000. Pretty modest increase. You had a pretty big increase in expenditures, a lot of road and street repairs. They were planned things, but you did see a change in net position of a decrease of 2.3 million in governmental activities. And that's taking everything into account. Now, the concern to consider is governmental revenue always lags behind the basic economy by 18 to 24 months. So where you look at revenues, we're up 150,000. What's going on now in the economy, you'll see that impact in your property tax, your sales tax, and your fines and fees, starting in 2020, but even probably heavier in 2021. So I would anticipate, you know, those future budgets, you're looking at pretty significant decrease in your revenue. I mean, most of your 2020 property tax revenue was collected at the end of 2019. You'll be collecting your revenue for 2021, the biggest revenue source, right at the end of this year, and we may be in a situation where people are not willing to part with cash as fast and may spread things out. You also may see defaults, you know, due to various retail businesses, and appraised values may start decreasing. So those are impacts. Your fines and fees are going to be impacted just by lack of volume, and that your courts are not operating, your traffic fines are not as much, you know, those type of things. So you're really going to see a pretty big impact the next 2 years in your budgeting cycle on the revenue. And it may not be reflected as where you are today, but it's coming. And I just want to point out that consistently you see this lag in what happens. Anytime there's a disaster, anytime there's you know, even like 9/11, you saw a lag effect on the economic situation, and it usually hit governments about 18 to 24 months after the fact. So just wanted to point that out to you going forward. Looking at page 17 and 18, the fund level financial statements, and these are what y'all look at and operate on. We had one change this year in that the local provider participation fund, previously we recorded it as a trust fund, but there's a small fee that the county actually earns for administering that. So technically it needs to be a governmental fund, so that was moved from the trust funds to the governmental to reflect that. And so you'll see that separately here. And because of its volume and size, it has to be a major fund reported with the general fund and the road and bridge funds. Y'all have good liquidity. You do have pretty small fund balance compared to where you have historically been in some funds. You need to be watching that fund balance going forward. You know, worst case scenario, and I've talked about this in the past, is we end up with some kind of hurricane disaster or something. Given the effect we're seeing from COVID, those revenues, and then a limited fund balance, your ability to respond to those things could be quite limited. So keep that in mind. When you look at page 20 and 21, you'll see the fund balance decreased in most funds. Again, a lot of that was planned. If you look at the budgets, you know, you had a lot of planned expenditures. Another factor to consider going forward with your fund balance is when we get into the business type funds, your health insurance fund decreased $800,000 and only had $200,000 remaining in fund balance at the end of the year. So you're going to have to address health insurance going forward, and I believe you are discussing that in your budgeting already.
We are.
But that's going to have to pretty much come out of the governmental funds to fund it. So that's going to be an increased expenditure. And I think you're also looking at paying off some of your past note debt and some things like that. So those are reductions that, you know, going to bring this down quite a bit. When we look at the general fund, it's best to compare it to the budget on page 44 for how you did. And on page 44, you'll see your revenues for the year were $897,000 more than you had anticipated in the budget. And again, your three primary sources there are the ad valorem tax, sales tax, and fines and fees, all of which are going to be somewhat volatile the next couple of years. So I want to point that out. Your expenditures pretty much were in line and below budget with the exception of the public health and welfare, and that's an area where you may, as the economy has problems, you may have to increase some of the funding that go into that area. So that's another area of somewhat concern.
Do we anticipate any type of government, federal reimbursement?
That's a good question.
Janice, don't know. Haven't heard anything, no rumors.
There hadn't been any
talk
discussion
of it
headed
at
that
all?
direction, because it's nationwide and
Right,
no.
Yeah.
I was just a question.
Generally, when the government deals with a disaster, their approach is to first deal with the private side and then do the government funding after the fact.
Yes, sir.
I would expect there'll be some discussion of it, but right now, being an election cycle, everything is pending and up in the air. I wouldn't anticipate anything till after the election, so.
Okay. Thank you.
And I know the state, the state's got the same problem when they look at their revenues, their fines and fee money is down, their sales tax money, they're anticipating a decline in. And so when they talk about their shortfall, it's these same type things. They know it's gonna be a lag, but it's coming probably in the next year, so. So overall, as I said, you did better than you had budgeted, which is always a positive, but again, you see, you had a good solid year, but I'm concerned about the future year. There really isn't anything significant in the notes I wanted to point out, so if there are any questions, be glad to answer them. And as always, if y'all have questions as you look at things and want to discuss anything with me, please feel free to give me a call. Our firm's been working with y'all for several years, and we're part of this community, and we're here to serve y'all. Okay.
Eric?
Sure, appreciate you.
You bet. Good report. The comment about going forward into the year is a warning that we need to hear. But my thoughts personally is that it may even carry over into the following year. I honestly believe that we've got a year and a half, 2 years of this mess.
I would agree. As I said, normally the lag in governmental effect is about an 18 to 24 month period. So that would fall really into your next 2 budget cycles.
Right.
So you're anticipating that we're gonna have to raise taxes?
I'm anticipating your revenues are gonna decrease. It's y'all's job to decide if that
specifically tells me that we're gonna have to raise taxes
there is a possibility.
to meet revenue.
Best case, this turns around and in 6 months, we're behind this and everything's great and we're sailing along. But I'm here to give you a worst case, what I think could be coming. And I could see your revenues drop 15%.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's an attention getter.
Yes.
Yeah. That's good.
Anyway.
Any other questions for Eric?
Again, I want to thank Janice and her staff and the treasurer's office, all very helpful, and, we're here to work with y'all, and they did an outstanding job under some very strange circumstances, so.
I appreciate your availability.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Much to approve the report as read.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the report as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass.
Thank you, Eric.
Y'all stay healthy and safe.
Appreciate
All right,
it.
thank you, sir. You too. All right, moving on to item number 9, the Angelina County Commissioners Court will now open a public hearing in reference to the Angelina County Clerk's annual update for the preservation and restoration of the archives. The plan is designed to comply specifically with the requirements and intent to the Texas Local Government Code Section 118-025. Gentlemen, this is something that we do annually, every year. Has anyone signed up for this public hearing? All right. We have no one in the public that wants to speak to this archive pricing plan.
The gentleman just went to the door, said he would like to.
Yeah, if he's,
Michael G. Parker. Michael G. Parker.
Michael
Oh.
Parker.
Yeah.
okay, is he, oh, okay, yeah, yes. Michael, this is a public hearing. Please state your record and, state your name and that you'd like to speak to item number 9.
Yes, Michael Parker, citizen of Angelina County, and also a land surveyor, and so this is one that concerns me, and I'm always for the preservation and restoration of the archives. I didn't know what the actual plan was, if there was any small outline or any 2 or 3 items you could tell me, because I want to support it as long as I know what I'm supporting.
Well, pretty much it's the continuation of the 5-year contract with COFOL to digitize all the records back to sovereignty.
Okay.
They'll all be available on the computer.
Okay, Michael Parker in favor of supporting item number 9.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Trouble.
All right. At this point, we will close the public hearing. Item number 10, that no more speakers to address this, and move on to item number 11, discuss and consider for approval of the Angelina County Clerk's Plan of Texas Local Government Code Section 118.025 for the preservation and restoration of the county clerk's archives.
Motion to approve.
All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass unanimously. All right, item number 12, appearance of Michael G. Parker, Everett Grivet and Associates. If you would, ask Michael to come back in.
I believe he,
Is he gone?
I think I saw him go there.
Good grief.
He forgot what he was here for.
All right, appearance of Michael G. Parker, Everett Grivet Jr. and Associates to discuss and request approval of the final plat of Waterwell Road, Davidson Road subdivision number 2 in precinct 3. Michael.
Yes, thank you. This is a minor plat. We were taking 2.5 acres and making a 3/4 acre tract, which is required for by minimum, and then 1 acre and 3/4 acre tract, so you got a total of 2.5. One is a corner lot with the existing house on it on the corner of Davidson and Waterwell. The new lot being created is facing Davidson Road. I have talked to Commissioner Pitts about this. This is just one single, lot being done, no new roads. On the plat's got our utility easements and got our road easements like we generally do. I'll entertain any questions or ask approval of the plat.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor, and I notice that this lot number 2 is a minimum of 3/4 acres, so, yeah. All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Thank you.
Sally's got it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, item number 13, appearance of Jill Brewer, County Treasurer, to present and request approval of the monthly treasurer's report for the month ending June 2020. Ask Ms. Brewer to please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Don't you love it when everybody gets involved in county government? Because I love it.
Yes.
That means people are getting involved and they care about what we're doing. And that's not a bad thing. It's really not. That means they're going to investigate, they're going to learn how we work, and they're going to realize that we're a lot more complicated than we appear to be on the surface. Because we are just when we're elected, I don't know why, I just felt like I needed to say this right before, and I have one more thing, and then I'm going to start my treasurer's report, because I know y'all probably need a breather. But, we're elected, so we're all kind of like this, and we all kind of do what we want to do. And that makes us interesting and far different than other entities. Okay? All right. I have one, I don't know if you guys have addressed this year, but I noticed a lot of things popping up on my internet, when I'm on the web and when I'm on my phone and I'm scrolling through Facebook and Instagram and all that, and they're telling me I need to do my census. And I don't know if we brought that up in court this year. We have?
About 3 times.
Well, can we do it one more time?
One more
Just
time.
to make sure, because we're getting close to the deadline. So if you haven't done the census, You can do it by mail because they sent one to your residence, or you can do it on the internet at www.2020census.gov, and that's very important to us. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's important to us, because if our populations are counted properly and we reach a certain population, then it opens us up for grants. All sorts of public grants for not just us, but other entities as well. So I just wanted to bring that up one more time, because we're getting close, Judge, and
You bet.
I want people to, and it's anonymous. Nobody will ever know who you are or what you do or anything like that. All right. Everybody doing okay? I guess we'll start with our treasurer's report today. On the front page, we have our usual cash flow statement. We don't ever want to talk about that, even though it's there. It just tells us what our balance was at the moment I ran the report. The second page is always interesting to us. So we have our investment summary, and we have our long-term debt, and we have our miscellaneous items. On our long-term debt, we added $6,286,000 for our anticipation notes, which is also known as our tax notes for 2020. And you'll also see when you move up to the investment summary that I put that money in our money market account, because that's where we're earning our most interest right now. But I'll get that moved out as time goes. I'm just leaving it there for now. Let's see. That's really the only significant thing I have, except I have something that's a little different on this, and you may not have noticed it, but when I entered it, I wasn't very happy about it. It appears that we have negative interest on our financial Northeastern, and that's not exactly true. What that negative number represents is the net of the market value on our CDs. So if we were to sell our CDs today, this is how CDs work. If we were to sell them today, we would lose principal on them, but we're not going to sell them. We're going to hang on to them. So that's why that number is negative, because we did a market adjustment on it. We did earn interest. Even though the market value went down, we don't lose our principal. We're not going to lose our interest. It's just an adjustment for the books. I just wanted to let you gentlemen know that that's why there's a negative number there. And then I can teach you that, and then you go on to bigger and better things, and you're looking at a financial statement, you'll understand that. And then you two are stuck with me, so y'all will have to listen, and you're stuck with me too, Judge. Don't. Now look. Now look at here. I want to educate you guys, because I don't know how to operate machinery, and I don't expect you guys to know how to operate a financial statement. But I'm doing my best to educate you as we go through this process every month. And then, of course, on our third
county barn, we'll teach you how to operate a motor grader.
I don't know if we have enough insurance for me to do that. We'll wind up upside down in a ditch. Y'all have not ridden with me in a car. I don't know that you want to do that. And of course, on our third page is our CD schedule that we have. And right here, it still says we have $120,000, because as long as we possess it, we have $120,000. And I may get with Janice to see if she wants me to adjust that, and if she does, then I'll adjust it for the future and make sure that see how she wants our books to reflect that amount. I didn't get with her. We've been a little short-handed in our office, so.
Jill, in the investment community, what best guess scenario, what are you looking at as far as interest rate changes?
Interest rates have flattened out. They've slowed their fall, and they have been where they are right now, except, well, our money market account has never changed, and of course, and our CD interest rates never changed. But the other, like our, you're talking about our investment pools, they have slowed down, they flattened out, they haven't started coming back up yet. The only thing that continues to fall is our mutual fund that we have at DWS. Now, they continue to fall just a little bit, because they don't have far to go now. I think they're at 0.03. But they have no, I say, okay, it says 0.05. So not zero, I was being a pessimist. They're at 0.05, and they've slowed down. They were at 0.07 last month in May. So they've slowed down, and our investment pools have kind of flattened out. They've been right where they are. Let's see. Texas class is a little higher. They've come up just a little bit. They were down, let's see, Tex Pool was at 0.24 in May, and it's come up a little bit. It's 0.28 now. But Tech Star is still kind of behind. And like I said, our CDs don't change, and so far our money market account hasn't changed. So hopefully we'll stay flat. We won't decrease anymore. It takes about 2 years for our interest rates to go back up, and they may never go back to where they were last year.
Yeah.
I've noticed working here, when I worked at the city, when I worked here, we have a lag. It takes about 18 months for the things that are happening in the private world, in private businesses, the things they're suffering now. It'll take us about 18 months to see the same thing they're seeing. And we've been here before, and it's cyclical. It's just like the seasons. It goes up and it comes down, and we have to tighten our belts when it's tight, and we have to be frugal when it's not tight, when it's a little looser. But I don't have anything exciting and interesting to share with you other than that's where I put the money that we borrowed, and that was a negative number, and everything else is pretty plain Jane.
It's good report, good information, and it's very needed right now since we are in the budget cycle. So.
I was waiting on Commissioner Cheshire to ask me what sales tax was for last year, because that's what he does to me every time, and he didn't do it, and I wrote it down. This time it was $506,000, and that's up from last year. We had $455,000 last year, $434,000 in 2018. So we're above June of last year and the year before.
That's good.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that because you ask me that every time, and I say, I don't know, because I didn't look. But I looked.
Well,
I wrote it down.
I appreciate it very much. That gives a really good indication, for a lot lot of things. But, I mean, people are still hurting.
They are hurting. And that was just the month of June. Now, remember last time when I came to court, I gave you the whole year in a nutshell. And we were down a little bit. We were down about 3%.
Judge, is this something you need to sign?
Everybody gets to sign this.
Everybody
signs.
All the signatures.
Right.
Everybody's, I signed it, Amy signed it, Janice doesn't sign it.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the report with everybody's signatures. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass unanimously. Thank you, Jill.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, Jill.
All right, item number 14, Angelina County Commissioners Court will open a public hearing in reference to the continuation of the Angelina County District Clerk's plan for SB 1685, archiving and restoration of historical records books. Is there anybody signed? Okay, for the public hearing. The public hearing is open now, and since no one has signed right now, item number 15, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing at this time and move on to item number 16, discuss and consider for approval a continuation of the Angelina County District Clerk Plan for SB 1685, archiving and restoration of historical record books, and authorizing the district clerk to collect a fee not to exceed $10 per filing for any action filed in the district clerk's office in accordance with SB 1685. Gentlemen?
Judge, I'm not sure that this is part of the amendment that we'll be approving, but on page 4, it says the effective date January 2010. Is that a misprint, or am I missing something? It says renewable each year, effective date 2010.
Page 4.
Well, you got.
I believe that's when it was first authorized.
That was the first time.
This was the first time that it was approved in this court.
2010.
Yeah.
So this is just a continuation.
This is a continuation.
And I believe we renewed it.
Every year.
Yeah. And I make a motion, we approve it with the continuation of the fee at $10.
I second.
page 3 is the notice on this one,
Right,
2020. Yeah,
July 20.
July 2020. Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to,
Judge, being that it's a continuation, we don't need a new signature, do we?
no,
Okay.
no.
Just make it clear.
We just need to report, right, we don't need a new signature.
Thank you.
It is already signed, and it's a continuation. Matter of fact, they brought that to me at the office to sign, so we would have it for court. Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass unanimously. All right. Let's see, item number 17, discussion action on approval to accept the County Transportation Infrastructure Fund Grant that was approved by TXDOT. The attached letter is a notice of the eligible grant award from TXDOT in the amount of $337,664. Let's see.
Judge, I would just like to commend Commissioner Harrison. He did most all of the footwork on this to get this done.
Yes, he did.
And I will say, after reading all of these pages, it scared me and I almost wanted to turn it down of what we gotta do to get this money.
Yeah,
But he assured me that we'll make this work.
good.
And we do have a local contact person. It's just it's gonna be a lot of paperwork. It's an 80-20 grant, if I understand it right. We have to spend the money, and then they'll reimburse us 80% of it once we fulfill all that paperwork.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you. I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor with the added comments, which are very appropriate. And, as far as further discussion, is this the one that was leaning toward repair of the
Oil and gas.
oil and gas?
Yes, that's the one we discussed, and,
Yes.
yeah, I run with it. Finally
Yes.
got
Mail.
That, actually, the story was that was the problem. All right, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass unanimously. All right. Item number 18, discussion action on the imposition of the optional fee for the year 2021 from the Texas Department of Motor Vehicle. All right, gentlemen, y'all have that in front of you. That is also a housekeeping item that's done yearly. We have to send in a form, and from what I understand, there is not a change in this. We're just continuing. You'll notice you have an option A or option B, and this doesn't have to be. This form has to be sent back in, and in our situation, it will be option A. No change. The county will charge the same fees in 2021. Y'all have any questions about this?
I have none.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
All right. Motion to approve. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. All right, let's see here. Item number 19, discussion action on increasing the county share of the monthly premium cost for Angelina County Health Insurance. I think the county attorney and the auditor both want to fight over the opportunity to get up and talk. Okay.
You won.
All right. Good answer. All right. We had a insurance committee meeting Thursday, of last week, and the recommendation from the insurance committee meeting was to change our share from 800 to 900, and that is an effort to try to shore up our employee benefit program, which is also part of the discussion that was taking place yesterday in our budget hearing about the other $1 million that will be transferred into that employee benefit program from our reserve. And that's going to be discussed again this evening in the, at 4:30 when we do our budget hearing again this evening. So we're going to address that again. So that $1 million transfer will be addressed again this evening and not in this. But for increasing the county share of the monthly premium from 800 to 900 is actually what we have on our plate today. Commissioner Pitts, you're the most knowledgeable of this. Do you have any comments?
No, I think it's almost essential to do it. That's another fund that's getting in trouble.
That's right.
Well, we're not raising their rates, right?
No, not at this time. This is actually increasing the county share.
Okay.
Yeah. It is costing us.
Yeah, I understand.
Not the employees. Yes.
Just need a motion to approve.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion does, any opposed? Motion does pass unanimously. All right, moving on to item number 20, appearance of Elizabeth Hawkins, election administrator. See if Elizabeth's in the hallway, please, sir. Morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are y'all doing this morning?
Doing fine. Let me finish announcing you here. Appearance of Elizabeth Hawkins, election administrator, to request location change due to COVID-19 and social distancing requirement during the early voting and election day for the general election in 2020. I will let you address the rest of this.
Yes, sir.
Because there's a lot here. So.
Yes, sir. I'm actually requesting to change our early voting polling location here, which is at the annex. Now, this request for this location is only going to be a one-time request because generally the early voting at this place is under the same roof as our office, which normally would actually be required to happen. But due to COVID-19, the social distancing, I can only fit 10 machines in here. Presidential election coming up, I'm not going to be able to do this with 10 machines. I'm going to have way more. Of course, it doesn't cost us, as far as rental or anything for the county. I've requested the Lufkin City Parks and Recreation Building at 516 Montrose Street. It's not going to cost us anything to be in that building. I've already spoke with them since Governor Abbott has extended early voting to a third week now. They have already approved us to be able to use that building. And it's going to be curbside. We'll have everything available there.
Was there a question one day, I think on a Sunday or something that?
There was, but I have spoken with them more because we have all the entities that are going to be on our ballot this year because of COVID-19. They're going to work with us with that.
Good, thank you.
Parking, got plenty?
Sir?
Plenty of parking.
Oh, parking is wonderful over there.
This is the new location that the city has gone. They're
I don't know what it's saying.
Yeah.
That's
Parking is great. Curbside will be really good. It's very spacious. There'll be actually a long distance for long lines. When you walk into the building, they would shift to the left side, and there's a long hall that circles around, which would be the wait line to go in to vote. And then there's a short exit, which they'll exit out the room and then be able to exit the building.
good.
I do.
And then you've got other locations also.
Yes. With the other locations that I am requesting, hopefully in the future we'll be able to use these locations as early voting because Angelina County is growing and the buildings that we are in are unfortunately, they're not big enough and we need to move to the right direction. Huntington Civic Center. Let's face it, that area right there is a really bad place to pull out. We have voters that parking on the streets. It's just very dangerous for our voters. Also, the social distancing, and as well as it costs us $425 every election. We have gotten with First Baptist Church Family Life Center on North Main in Huntington. They are actually not going to charge us anything for it. I've already contacted them about the extension of the 3rd week, and they are willing to work with us as far as, on church. We'll have to move our equipment and things like that, but we'll be saving there as well. The next one that we have is going to be changing Diboll City Hall. Of course, that location, there's not very much parking. People would have to park across the street at that fast food restaurant at Jack in the Box. We've actually talked to Diboll and Lottie and Arthur Temple Civic Center. For this election, they're actually going to give it to us for free. They're also including a couple of days for me to be able to do training for the judges and alternate judges and the clerks to be able to do more per class because of the social distancing. If we were to use this building in the future, they might charge us some type of fee, but for this particular election coming up, they're not going to charge us anything. We've also spoken with Old Zavala City Hall Police Department. We usually use this location for early voting in Zavala. They charge us $275. By switching to Zavala First Baptist Church, it's going to give us a lot more to be able for people to park, social distancing, and it's not going to cost us anything but $100 for damage fees. That is refundable, and it's only going to charge us $100 for the use of the facility. And I have spoken with them and they said that we were able to use it for the three weeks for early voting.
Good. That's actually a deposit, one of those $100.
Yes, correct. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Any questions?
I'm gonna give you a motion to approve.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve these locations as depicted to us. Any further discussion?
Yes, just one brief question. Mrs. Hawkins, how does this affect, I'm not sure, how will it affect the electioneering process that candidates will have to address? Is it still going to be the 100 feet from?
Correct. It is 100 foot from the polling location. And then, we haven't had, as far as signs,
Right.
It's 100 foot. It's the standard.
It's still going to be standard? Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any further questions?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion does pass. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Item number 21, discussion action on a request from Commissioner Greg Harrison, Precinct 1, to step down from serving on the Expo Board. Commissioner?
I just feel like in the last little bit of time I got going here, I've got a lot of things I need to do. I don't think I would be fair to them, give them the time I need to give them. So at this time, I respectfully ask to step down from the Expo Board. So.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's with regret, but I do understand completely. All right, done a good job, Greg. All right, there's none opposed, obviously. Motion does pass. Discussion, item number 22, discussion action on selecting another member of the court to serve on the Expo Board. Gentlemen?
Let me bring up something now. Donna, are you still on that board now?
I've never been on the board. I just attend all the time.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I would just like
I was
to say.
asked to attend, and I'm interested in what goes on out there, so I do attend.
Yeah. I would like to say though that Expo is near and dear to my heart. That's where our kids go. You know what I'm saying? That's the future of the county, and I'm all about the expo. But like I said, you know, with my short term here, I just can't give them the time and everything I need to do. I would ask that one of you guys step up and say, I'll take it, because they need someone that cares about that expo out there. So I'm giving y'all a chance to, you know, I don't want to put nobody on the spot, but I'm giving y'all a chance to step up is what I'm doing, so.
It's entirely up to you gentlemen. I'm gonna continue to go to the meetings and participate, but if one of you gentlemen would like to.
I nominate Commissioner Cheshire.
All right.
To fill that position.
All right. Do you have any objections?
I don't have any objection. I would reiterate what Commissioner Harrison said. Having been a 10-year-old showing in 4-H, I was initiating class of youth exhibitors many years ago when that we transitioned from the old rodeo arena to the new expo center, and to have watched it grow into what it is today, it would be an honor to serve.
Okay. All right, we have a nomination of Commissioner Cheshire.
Second.
And a second. All right, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion does pass. All right, thank you, Bobby. Let's see here.
Judge, that don't mean you don't get to, you still get to.
I'm still gonna go. I'm still gonna go.
No, ain't no doubt about that.
Yeah, I'm still gonna go because, being a long-term member of the Lions Club and how involved we've been in the Expo Center for a number of years, it is also near and dear to my heart to see that operation continue to thrive, so I will be there. All right, let's see. Item number 23, discussion action on a request from Commissioner Greg Harrison, Precinct 1, to step down from the position of County Judge Pro Tem.
All right, there's another. I enjoy doing that, you know what I mean? But the problem is like I say, I've got a short term here and I'm trying to get things done. Usually when you do a Judge Pro Tem, you go in as the seniority guy. And that's what I was for a while. So, but I would love to step down and just ask, I just need to step down, and that's on that line, okay?
Okay, gentlemen.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the request from Commissioner Greg Harrison to step down from the position of County Judge Pro Tem. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item number 24, discussion action on nominating. Do you need to say something? No. Okay, all right. Discussion action on nominating a replacement judge pro tem for the Angelina County Court.
All right, being that I'm just stepping down, fella.
Okay, all right.
I want to go ahead and put Commissioner Bobby Cheshire up for Judge Pro Tem at this time.
That a motion?
That's the motion.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. From what I do understand, Commissioner Cheshire is the senior.
Yes, that's the reason
right.
I did what he did.
Okay.
So.
Judge, may I make one comment?
Certainly,
Sure.
Certainly. Come forward, please, sir.
I was just gonna point out to the court that last year, the court did put in place some rules of procedure. And Section 5 of those rules does state that the senior member of the court will serve as the judge pro tem in the absence of the county judge. And so that would be consistent with what the rules that are in place. And so
Good.
if you were steering away from that, we might need to look at changing the rules.
Sure.
But what we have at this time says the senior judge present at the meeting will serve as the
Then
judge.
the rules, don't the rules also say that senior member has to turn that down if you're
they do allow that person to designate
Right.
somebody else to
If-
serve
if-
if they, at that time.
Just for the record, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if he decided not to do it.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I just want to point that out, that would be consistent with what
Right.
rules that you have. in
So we did
place.
right.
Yes.
It is correct. Thank you,
Okay.
sir. All right, we do have a motion and a second on the floor to accept Commissioner Cheshire as the new Angelina County Judge Pro Tem. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. All right, item number 25, discussion action on the budget transfer for the auditor's office, training personnel $1,500 to capital outlay and $1,500.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. All right, item number 26, discussion and action on a budget transfer for Road and Bridge number 1, $10,495.23 from the fund balance to hardtop roads in the same amount, $10,495.23.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. All right, item number 27, appearance of Thomas Jones and his son, Jason Jones. See if the Joneses are available.
Thomas and Jason Jones. Thomas and Jason Jones.
Glad I brought some water.
I wish I had it.
I don't have anything if you want to drink.
Oh, I hear you, buddy.
Morning.
Morning.
State your name.
Hi, my name is Jason Jones.
I'm Thomas
Welcome.
Jones.
I'm 15 years old. My dog was shot by Angelina County Sheriff's Department.
You gotta speak up a little
Pull your
bit,
mic,
Jason.
buddy.
Put the mic over
There you go.
close. I know that this is not something you're normally used to.
Yes,
You're doing good.
Was shot by Angelina County Sheriff's Department on June 13th. They had a call for the house behind my grandparents where I was staying for the summer to work for my grandpa. Timber was a 35-pound spotted dog. I had her for about 8 years. She had recently been hit by a car and was limping. The first officer pulled to the house in the back. The next officer parked in my grandparents' house and walked to the back. The one who shot her, he was the one who shot her. He claims that he shot her as she was charging him. A 35-pound dog has about a 4-inch chest. So for that to be true, he shot a 4-inch moving target 3 times. Moving back, scared for his life. No pepper spray, no taser, just shot the dog 3 times. She was doing her job, barking at a stranger. Timber died about 3 hours later. The sheriff made a video letting everyone in the county that my dog Timber was shot. And his deputy did nothing wrong. So it was okay to bark at a house. It was okay to park at a house that was not involved in the call and shoot a dog that was doing her job. The dog never bit a person, but she barked at everyone that came to the house. A scared deputy shot my dog at about 15 foot because she scared him, and the last thing that deputy said to my grandma is, "It was just a dog." No. Denver was mine and my little brother's friend, protector, and playmate. As we grew up, not just a dog.
All right. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to item number 28, Hallie Hathorn. Okay, appearance of Hallie Hathorn, owner of A1 Towing, to speak to the court in reference to the threat against her company made by Greg Sanchez, and have her company moved off rotation record service for the Angelina County Sheriff's Office. Morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I would like to begin by reading the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Unfortunately, in Angelina County, citizens cannot exercise our First Amendment right to express grievances against Sheriff Greg Sanchez without dire consequences to our reputation, business, and livelihoods. I'm the founder of Bags of Love and owner of A1 Towing. Bags of Love was a local nonprofit organization that provided duffel bags to foster kids to use in place of trash bags. A1 Towing is a towing business and is working with law enforcement to tow vehicles after an accident or an arrest. I'm here today because for the past year and a half, I have been bullied, intimidated, and threatened by Greg Sanchez. In February of 2018, I had invited Greg Sanchez to the Bags of Love Gala. This was an event organized to benefit and raise money for the organization. I invited law enforcement officers from multiple agencies. I provided these officers with free tickets to the event. Greg Sanchez was also provided a free ticket, and Greg refused to attend after I could not accommodate his difficult and demanding seating requests. He did not want to sit by certain state troopers or county commissioners. At this time, I was really unfamiliar with the sheriff. I didn't really think anything at all about his demands or the fact that he didn't show up. However, pretty soon after the event, I began to receive negative feedback regarding the sheriff. Apparently, many in the law enforcement community were offended that Greg refused to attend a children's charity function over a seating arrangement. I suppose Greg became aware of this negative publicity and decided in an attempt to make amends to send a $50 donation that would cover the cost of the ticket. Unfortunately, in my opinion, this is the event that put me on Greg Sanchez's Facebook radar. In late November 2019, I shared 2 mugshots from my personal Facebook page. These mugshots belong to Grant Hightower and Brianna Simmons, the adult children of the sheriff of Angelina County. I shared the mugshots because I believe that the sheriff's stepson, Grant Hightower, received preferential treatment when he had been arrested on child molestation charges earlier that month. I included a mugshot of Brianna Simmons for family violence arrest because, in my opinion, their alleged pattern of behavior of violence and sexual abuse, along with the fact that Grant has yet to be prosecuted for his initial sexual abuse charges stemming from 2007, is concerning. As a direct result of posting the mugshots, on December 2nd at 7 p.m., without warning, Morgan Burton dropped off a box of Bags of Love shirts to my home. At the time, these shirts were sold out of their consignment store. These shirts solely benefited Bags of Love. For every shirt that's sold, we can make 2 bags for a foster kid in East Texas. So they did not have to use garbage bags when moving into foster homes. Although she arrived at my house unannounced, I was not completely surprised that the shirts were being removed from the boutique. I'd been told by Morgan Burton 1 month prior that Greg Sanchez wanted my shirts removed from her shop. At the time, I believed it was because I had publicly endorsed Brian Hawley in the election. The month prior, when Morgan had told me that Greg had a problem with the shirts being sold at Merle Norman, I had contacted Amy Looney, the owner of Merle Norman Cosmetic, where Morgan had her shop. Amy told me at that time I did not have to remove any shirts. Amy is the sister-in-law of Greg Sanchez. When Morgan dropped off the shirts, I was informed by her that Greg no longer wanted them there at Merle Norman because of the online content of my personal Facebook page. I believe he used his influence to have his sister-in-law force Morgan to remove the shirts. Another example of Greg targeting me happened soon after. His opponent in the election, Brian Hawley, had volunteered his time to deliver bags to the Lufkin CPS office. On the Bags of Love Facebook page, I shared Brian Hawley had volunteered for my organization and delivered the bags to local CPS. I also stated that Brian Hawley has our vote. The Lufkin Daily News had also featured him delivering the bags to CPS. Because of my endorsement, I made a Facebook Live video informing the public that Greg had used his influence to have my shirts removed from his sister-in-law's business. Greg retaliated publicly by posting his own video and lying to everyone who viewed it. He told the public that I had broken a law by endorsing a candidate on my nonprofit page. He also took a cheap shot at Brian Hawley and said that Brian should be aware of the law if he wanted to be sheriff. He concluded the video by stating, "Leave my kids out of it." When pressured in the comments, he was unable to provide a penal code to support what law I had broken. I think it's unfair to expect citizens to be familiar with imaginary laws with no penal code or statute that he makes up for his Facebook fan club. Since the sheriff was accusing me of Facebook crime for which he could not provide a statute or penal code for, I wanted to call the IRS to turn myself in and ask for more information related to the accusation. After speaking with an IRS agent, I can admit it is possible that I made an error on my nonprofit Facebook page. I was not aware of this error at the time, but with a possible violation when I endorsed Brian Hawley. The IRS explained I had not broken any laws that the sheriff was saying very publicly via Facebook. They advised that I edit the comment and state that if I edited the comment endorsing Brian Hawley, no further action would be taken, and there would never be any further investigation. The IRS didn't seem to be bothered, and if this error had occurred, it was a very minor infraction. The error was corrected, the comment was edited, and the endorsement was removed. Despite deleting my endorsement, Greg Sanchez and his campaign doubled down on their accusations and continued to tell the public that endorsing Brian Hawley on my Facebook page was against the law. They influenced members of the community to view me as a criminal and a troublemaker. He and his campaign manager insisted that an IRS rule and a criminal law were the same thing. It is unacceptable that the Angelina County Sheriff publicly accused me of a criminal offense by endorsing his opponent. I broke no laws. IRS rules cannot be enforced by courts. Laws can. We learn the difference between rules and laws in elementary school. The sheriff should especially know this. Not only was it unethical and damaging to my reputation to accuse me of a criminal offense for my endorsement, it was hypocritical for Greg to make such a big deal out of my 501c3 supporting Hawley when he himself spent the election pandering churches. I found it extremely distasteful for a local political candidate who had just expressed concerns over the endorsements from a nonprofit organization to accept an invitation to speak at church for the Christmas Fellowship. Greg attended and spoke at the Christmas Fellowship at Highway Baptist Church just a week and a half, so after he accused me of breaking laws by endorsing Brian Hawley. He didn't seem to mind that churches are also nonprofit organizations. He only seemed to be concerned about bullying a 501c3 organization that supported his opposition. Greg's video falsely accusing me of breaking an unknown law basically began what soon would turn into a complete character assassination. But at that time, I attempted to continue my nonprofit work. On December 10th, Greg Sanchez stepped into the Lufkin CPS office. From my understanding, that was the very first time since being elected that he has ever visited the office. Ask yourself, after 7 years, why did you feel the sudden need to walk into that office? During this visit, he spoke with Angel Gillespie, who is an investigator as well as her investigative supervisor. Angel Gillespie later informed me that during this meeting, Greg requested that CPS stop doing business with Bags of Love. First of all, Bags of Love didn't do business with CPS. We made donations to CPS. So, of course, CPS refused and stated that they would not refuse my donations. The investigator, Angel, came to my house December 12th. She was very anxious and was in fear of losing her job, exposing that Greg Sanchez had made the request regarding Bags of Love. We also communicated via text regarding this incident. In these texts, she directly stated that Greg did ask CPS to stop doing business with Bags of Love and remove the bags. She reported this meeting and his request to the Texas Rangers, but it seems Greg flies right under the criminal radar. The things that he does are usually walking the line between unethical and illegal. I know that these actions are immoral and unethical, but apparently they're not illegal. I did not back down. I can continue to inform the public that Greg was still bullying my nonprofit. Greg Sanchez and his supporters continued their complete character assassination and accused me and accused Angel of the caseworker of lying. I spoke with the supervisors at CPS. They never denied that this happened. I also spoke with Trent Ashby because they have legislative oversight into the situation. He informed me that they had spoken with the person and the supervisors and Angel. He confirmed that Greg was at CPS and that what he did was express his opinion regarding Bags of Love. According to Trent Ashby, CPS officials' stance on the opinion that was expressed is in regards to his opinion that he was told CPS would continue to take donations from Bags of Love. Trent Ashby's office also confirmed that their knowledge of Angel never faced any disciplinary action regarding any violations of policy. If she was lying, wouldn't you think she would have been reprimanded? The intimidation tactics continued throughout the election. Many, including myself, were blocked from Greg's campaign page. He did conduct departmental business from this page at the time, which made it illegal for him to block his critics. Unfortunately, Greg Sanchez is above the law in Angelina County, and it makes no difference to him. Myself and others were threatened by his campaign manager. It was implied that we would be investigated by the FBI and sued for speaking out against the actions of Greg Sanchez. Eventually, I became a target by the overzealous Greg Sanchez supporters, including my neighbor placing Greg Sanchez signs on my property. Because I had become a target of cyberbullying, intimidation, and abuse of power, I decided to dismantle Bags of Love, and it's no longer in operation. In June 2020, a video showing 3 Angelina County deputies beating Mark Smith was posted to YouTube. I find this video and Greg Sanchez's response absolutely disgusting. I've made my opinion well known publicly because my public opinion, A1 towing, has now become a target for the sheriff. Greg Sanchez had Deputy Renfro call my husband Ryan Hathorn and advise Ryan to remove A1 towing from my name if we wanted to continue towing for the county. After reviewing the county towing policy, I confronted the sheriff and argued that we had broken no rules and could not be removed from the county rotation. He then threatened to amend rules to the towing policy to force me to stop criticizing his department. I recorded this conversation. I have undeniable evidence of Greg Sanchez threatening to amend county towing policy to adversely affect my business because I dared to publicly condemn poorly trained deputies who beat an unarmed, innocent man and falsified charges against him and their incompetent leader who has absolutely done nothing about it. Unfortunately, the harassment does not stop there. Around July 17th, an individual printed and mailed disgusting flyers to an unknown number of recipients about my business. My 1-year-old daughter's picture was put on these and used on the flyer. The flyer calls to defund the ACSO, among other liberal things. Despite Greg Sanchez's latest claims labeling people who don't like him or the way his department is ran are anti-police, I have never once said that any police department should be defunded, nor do I believe they should. This flyer was intended to hurt A1 towing and my livelihood. We know it was sent to members of DPS. I believe it was sent to DPS in an attempt to put my contract with the law enforcement agency at risk. I have offered a reward for the person responsible. I have reported the offense to LPD, and LPD claimed that the individual who mailed the flyer did nothing illegal, and they weren't going to investigate it. This is just the latest example about how those critical of Greg Sanchez will become a target for bullying and intimidation tactics, and how nothing will be done to stop it. My First Amendment rights have been trampled on by Greg Sanchez. He is so threatened by the voices of the people that he has sworn to protect and serve that I fear he will stop at nothing to silence them. However, I refuse to be intimidated into silence by the county bully. I urge you all to stop this abuse of power and call for Greg Sanchez's resignation. That's it.
Thank you.
Ms. Hathorn, would you answer a couple of questions if you don't mind? First, taking a breath.
You'll have to do it afterwards.
Why?
Am I done?
Don't you want to meet with her after the court?
No, I want to ask her some questions now. Take a breath, relax. There was a lot to go through. You feel your personal safety is at risk?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Feel like your business has been damaged?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I know what you're going through. But I hope you find some resolution. Thank you for your time.
All right, ask Mr. Steve Dubois to come in. All right, item number 29, appearance of Mr. Steve Dubois to discuss the policies and procedures of the Angelina County Sheriff Greg Sanchez and his departments. Good morning, sir.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
You bet.
I guess if there was some kind of discussion whether I should appear, I want to make sure that everybody understands that I'm here of my own free will. Don't want to talk me into coming here. I'm a grown man. I speak for myself. The items that I want to discuss today is our Angelina County Sheriff's Department. The reason why I want to bring this up is because I've actually seen videos and I've actually done research on these videos. Now, the question may come up, who are you? Why are you able to come with a no BS assessment to you guys? I'll tell you why. I've served 9 years in the United States Marine Corps. I'm sorry, 5 years in the Army, 4 years in the Marine Corps. Gentlemen, I did not cook for a living. I did not work in supply. I did not work in the rear with the gear. I was a combat veteran. I was trained as a combat veteran. I was taught deadly force, forward, backward, and I had to memorize it in my sleep. Deadly force is that force which is known or should be known to cause death or serious bodily harm. It is only used as a last resort when all lesser means have failed. That's your definition. This is the standard that every law enforcement goes through, and also our military. With this standard, and we're not upholding this standard, what we're saying is that we're treating Angelina County citizens without less respect than we do our prisoners of war. This is what happened on this video. I caution you, gentlemen, I believe also that I think I've actually contacted a couple of you. I've requested for the last 2 years, to no avail, the standard operating procedures, rules of engagement, and the rules of force from our Sheriff's Department. It is public information. If you don't believe that, check out the rules and regulations of the Public Information Act and actually go to websites of every county in the state of Texas and you can find it online. I was actually put up, here's the hot potato. The county attorney referred to the DA. The DA says, no. I asked Mr. Pitts. He said, I don't have access to that information. It scares me, gentlemen, because every 2 years, you individuals who are sitting here in front of me today are required to make sure that our SOP is up to date. You have no power over the sheriff per se, but it is your job to make sure he's doing his law and actually report it to the district attorney or the county attorney to get it changed to make sure his officers are trained to follow current laws. It's stating today the actions of these officers broke and has broken an executive order. These individuals, per executive order, they need to be put on probation. They need to be put out of office till they're proven innocent or guilty. And it has to be monitored in their personnel files that they had an incident like this. This would go to further because these people would not be able to work in any other job. But we still allow them to work here. Sheriff Sanchez plays a role, very simply, is that I can delegate to my men. I can delegate the authority for these guys to go do their job. I can tell you this, but I cannot delegate the responsibility. If they screw up, it's my fault. I didn't train these individuals. There was something lacking in this individual. Before I put them on duty, we had to continue education. Because we all know laws change. And so why should our county sheriff's department not change with it? Another incident was on a dog. And my wife and I, we raised German Shepherds. If anybody came into my property, that's what we have our dogs for, to bark. Let them know somebody's coming. Now, this young man, okay, you all grew up in Texas. Texas can say this. You don't mess with my woman, you don't mess with my money, and you don't mess with my dog, okay? This young man, okay, is going to remember the rest of his life, that man shot my dog. That is the impression this individual will carry on. And this is going to carry on because, you know what? Our youth are now seeing this in our sheriff department and having to accept that this is the way it's supposed to be done. This is what I'm afraid of. We all understand here in the next 3-6 months, there's going to be police reform. There are going to be rules that are going to have to be changed. You individuals are going to be making some very important decisions. These incidents that we have described right here should start you initiating that change now. We have a jail. We can't get it to pass inspection from the state. Now, this is not from water leaks. This is not from no maintenance or whatever. We give him plenty of money. What was it? Why did we fail? They didn't do their damn jobs. All you got to do is check on a prisoner every 15 minutes or every hour. We can't even do that. Direct reflection on leadership. This is direct reflection on leadership. Now, I'll caution you. Here's what's happening. You individuals, you took too long to make a statement. You took the advice of our county attorney who said, you know what, let's let cooler heads prevail. Let's let this calm down before we have to address it. Let's see if this will go away. Gentlemen, your lack of action makes the whole county look corrupt. What should have happened was on the 15th, the day that video was dropped. Please tell me you will understand. It's called Take Out the Trash Day in politics. Things that you don't want to get out, you save it till Friday. You release it at 5 o'clock, 5:15 after the press is closed, and guess what? It goes out in the Saturday morning paper. Guess what? Nobody reads the paper on Saturday morning. You slipped it through. It's set up to keep as many people from actually seeing this video or actually hearing this story. It was calculated. It was done on purpose. You gentlemen, I come before you because the fact is that I get to exercise my right as a citizen. I have fought in 2 theaters of war. It would not be prudent for me to come back to the United States here where I live and not make a stand when I see something wrong. Gentlemen, there's no way you can look at this video and not see deadly force. I'm not talking about back in the blue. I'm not talking about, I don't care which sides. I'm talking about a no BS assessment. I'm telling you, if that was me, I would be court-martialed right now, being in a red line barrack. We entrust you to provide for our health, welfare, and safety. We come to you, and we give you, you're a representative. We come to you and say, please, just handle that. Come on, kill us. We ask you to handle that. This is not provided here. Today, as I speak today, there are individuals that are sitting in Angelina County who are being threatened, who are being bullied, who are being chastised, character assassinated, gaslighted by a sheriff. And it's a total abuse of power. This has to be stopped. We have people who won't even call the sheriff's department anymore. Don't have nothing to do with them. Lufkin PD, I talked to their officers. You know what? We don't call the sheriff's department, they know nothing. I was like, why? Well, because they escalate everything. Seems apropos there. This is what happens here. Gentlemen, this is no BS assessment because the fact is I understand both sides want to support the blue. So I'm not caught up in that. I'm not following the law. What does the law say? If there's people that are not, that have broken the law, they need to be held accountable. Qualified immunity or not. They need to be held accountable and put to the mat. I propose today, these officers who were involved with the shooting of the dog, I'm supporting and asking you to please suspend these individuals till an independent third-party investigation can be conducted to prove that they're innocent. Sheriff Sanchez, you say, well, we can't do any legal power. I heard that argument. I can tell you, there's one person here that actually outranks him, county coroner. All you have to do is go take that video to the county coroner and say, look, we're not asking to fire him. We're not asking to fire him. We want him suspended until he gets a proper investigation. How does this benefit you? Well, because it keeps an investigation from going to his desk and the DA and sitting there for 2 years, hoping that we will delay, deny, and hope the situation or this will die in committee or the next generation who won't be paying attention to this. This is what we have to deal with in our justice system. We get around that. Go to the governor. You can, 515. I would have written a letter to the governor. I would have wrote it to the assistant and DOJ. Everybody to let them know. Our commissioners. We saw this. We know, and we are investigating, and we need your help doing so. But it was 3 weeks, or 3 weeks before you guys even responded. So in other words, what I'm saying is you're behind the 8 ball on this. I don't know how to get in front of it. Because, gentlemen, I know that you fully understand the amount of lawsuits that are going to actually hit Angelina County. During COVID-19, we can't afford it. I thought, look at your budget. We can't afford it. But I guarantee you this one thing. If you get played again by Sheriff Sanchez, he is going to get a lawsuit involved in the county, and he will win his retirement, he will win his salary, and he will be in the Bahamas somewhere drinking flowery drinks or whatever. So, gentlemen, in closing, I can't tell you how much or what it means to an individual and a citizen of Angelina County to not look in your mirror when a sheriff's department officer comes up to your window, you're scared to death. People will say, well, there's good cops and there's bad cops. In Angelina County, I can't tell which ones are good ones or bad ones. They all wear the same uniform. They all do. They demand me to respect their position. Dude, you look like a soup sandwich. Give me something to respect. Have some kind of pride in, lose some weight, But I come to you as a citizen today because something has to be done. And it has to be more aggressive from our commissioner's office. Whatever stands in your way. If it's our county attorney, find a way around them. Get other counsel. Get other counsel to give their advice. If the DA wants to sit on this and it actually states, I'm not going to prosecute cops, you got to go. You're removed from the case. Because I'll guarantee you, any case that's going to put before her, it's going to be appealed anyway. That's extra cost on you guys. So, from a cost perspective, but here as I am as a citizen, gladly having this Constitution, I get to address my grievances. And the reason why I'm here addressing my grievances to you individuals today, because this situation is going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. And if we keep sitting on the information, then it's going to get a lot worse. So let's just take back to my earlier statement. Now I'll close with this. If the SOP, rules of engagement, rules of force, if they would have been released to the public when they were supposed to be, or they were actually requested for, would we be standing here today? Would you have had the opportunity to go and look at these policies that the sheriff is implementing and saying, oh, hold on, we got a problem here? Also have a county attorney look at it as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Thank you for actually having me here. Is there any questions or any comments that you may have for me at this time?
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Dubois.
Hat, Steve.
You know what, I better take that, because Mr. Harrison was eyeballing my
Yeah.
Okay. Rodney Paulette.
Rodney Paulette, yeah.
Rodney Paulette?
All right. Okay. Let's come back to that and go to item number 31. Consider any miscellaneous. Oh, yeah, come on in, Rodney. Item number 30, appearance of Rodney Paulette to discuss the policies of the Angelina County Sheriff's Office.
You guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Rodney Paulette. I've come before this court today as a private citizen. I'm a member of the many thousands of silent majority voters in Angelina County to discuss the policies from a private citizen's perspective of Angelina County Sheriff's Office. I've never seen the need to be involved in a public forum before now. I'm not going to stay silent anymore. I'm 65 years old. I've lived in this county off and on most of my life. I go back as far as I remember when Leon Jones was sheriff and was defeated by Pete McBride by 2 votes in the mid-60s. I've lived through good sheriffs and not so good sheriffs. There were no formal policies or procedures and certainly no transparency among any sheriff's department that I ever knew, even the previous administration. Corruption, for the most part, was rampant. I was delighted in early 2012 when I learned Greg Sanchez decided to enter the sheriff's race. I supported Greg. I knew under Greg's leadership, the sheriff's office would be transformed into a professional law enforcement agency the citizens of Angelina County could be proud of. That's exactly what's happened. He immediately, after being sworn into office at 12:01 a.m. January the 1st, 2013, he immediately installed policies, procedures, standards, checks, and balances to improve the transparency for all Angelina County citizens to see. Sheriff Sanchez recruited a great law enforcement leadership team despite budget constraints that exhibits a high level of integrity and transparency. As with any changing and evolving business, and the sheriff's department is a business just like the county is, excuse me, some of his employees had to be replaced, not meeting the sheriff's high standards. Their good old boys network is gone. No longer is there preferential treatment for their buddies or administration's buddies, clients, or even the suppliers. The sheriff himself has had deputies investigated and one indicted. He has fired jailers for misconduct. He even investigated employees and elected officials in county government. This has never been done in previous administrations. In short, I believe the policies, procedures, systems, checks, and balances, along with the transparency of the Angelina County Sheriff's Office, is fair and equitable to all citizens of Angelina County, especially if you're pulled over. Do what they ask you to do. I mean, as a private citizen, if you try to jump on me, I'm going to defend myself. And I believe the sheriff, a deputy, has every right to defend himself. On a personal note, I've known Greg and his family for years, mom, dad, and brothers. There's never been any incident of any scandalous behavior. Now, we all have children. We can't be held responsible for our grown children's actions after you've raised them. The personal attacks on Greg and his family are unfair and unjust. There's no evidence of corruption or wrongdoing. The personal attacks are simply made up and untrue. They're simply malicious rumors and innuendos you see on Facebook
and incidentally, you won't see me on Facebook. In closing, I support the law enforcement of this great country. I'm also proud to be a staunch supporter of the Angelina County Sheriff's Department. The best Angelina County Sheriff's Department in my lifetime. Thank you for your time, and if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Paulette?
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, moving on to item number 31 now. Consider any miscellaneous and routine items. Looked like they were pretty standard. Yeah.
2 agri-life extensions and 1 from Justice of the Peace Precinct 3.
Right.
Motion to approve all 3.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the miscellaneous and routine items. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Item number 32, consider approval and authorization for payment of the bills as submitted by the county auditor.
Motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to pay the bills. Anything questionable or anything needs to be discussed? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Pay the bills. Item number 33, recess or adjournment?
Please, a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah.